Welcome back to the Punters Politics Podcast, the podcast where we make politics simple for the everyday punter like me, Conrad.
And like me, James.
Punter James, business at the front, always party at the back, stick around. What's been happening in the last week? We are a week behind the news, but, you know, nothing important happens straight away.
I'm seeing this name, Jojo Siwa, getting around. Do you know who that is?
Never heard the name.
Me either. Miley Cyrus's, her sister.
Well, hang on, what about Jojo Siwa? You're just seeing the name.
I'm seeing the name too much. I don't know who she is.
Did you break up with someone?
Probably. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably an Australian. How
Really?
dare she?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a she. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Looks like a she in a photo.
Okay.
More importantly,
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus's sister confirms
Miley Cyrus has a sister.
a romance with an Aussie.
Oh, so celebrity lost an Aussie and now an Aussie's picked up just a general Australian. Is that what it means, or is Aussie a person?
Yeah, I don't even know. Look,
Okay.
I'm trying to hone my news skills to ignore some of this.
I'm going to
rubbish.
say, Punter James, I think you know distraction.
Okay, now, but speaking of all the romance, the Nationals Party and the Liberal Party break up, but they might be getting back together, but they're still broken up, but they might be getting... What's going on? Do I actually need to read anything on this?
Listen, the TLDR, on again, off again. The Nationals apparently reporting is they asked for too much.
Yep.
Susan Ley was like, now is it Lee or Lay? I don't know. It's spelt Lay, so I'm going Lay.
Is it Ley?
Yeah, and I've heard Lee.
That's Lee, right?
Yeah, I've heard Lee a lot.
Okay.
But every time I see the word, I go Lay.
Probably not.
Anyway, Susan Lee apparently was like, not having a bar of it. Nationals were like, you need to give us this sort of... At the end of the day, I think it's as irrelevant as those previous relationships that you've just mentioned.
Really? I thought it would be a big thing.
I mean, for who? If you're a member of the Liberal Party and you care about who's leading your little club, yeah, you should care, I guess. But for punters like us, who cares? Waste of time. They'll regroup. They'll work. Come to me in 2.5 years when you got a policy platform for me to look at.
Yeah, I just thought it might impact, the Liberals' chance of getting in.
Yeah,
again.
but we are 2.5 years away. Like they could find the most handsome or beautiful, physically attractive person to leave the party with the most populist Trump-style politics that could happen 2.5. And all of a sudden they come back from the brink. Anything could happen.
Yeah,
so speculating this far out,
right?
It's a horse race. It's a beauty pageant contest.
Okay.
It's a bit of a political wank for the nerds that love politics. Like, oh, did you see what happened? And that's, I mean, even the ABC.
That's you. I thought you would care a little bit.
I got to streamline. There's a lot to focus on. That's something that have looked at, but who cares? Waste of time.
There's been a $1 million fine. You've probably seen this because these are some of the big headlines.
Okay,
A New South Wales couple face a $1 million fine or homelessness for living in a tiny house.
I did see this. Can I pull something up on this?
Yeah, sure.
It was a news.com.au article. I saw one that linked through to a
feed one.
Oh, the feed. That's what it is. Okay, so it starts as a $1 million fine headbait. They've clickbaited you.
Right.
Because they clickbaited me. I was like, that stuff gets me outraged, as you see. Overbearing regulations on regular Aussie punters.
Yeah, not a fan of.
Not a fan of.
Fair enough.
And that was one where I'm outraged. And I'm not saying I'm still not potentially outraged about this, but it clicks through the feed. It's up to a $1 million fine, which is still a bit outrageous, but they didn't issue him with a $1 million fine. It's like, if you don't do this and don't do that, the court could impose up to, it's like a jail sentence, could be up to.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a little bit that, it does get me a bit riled up in a housing crisis and here's the real problem no one really ever talks about.
Yeah.
Is our epidemic of Karens.
Oh, I
guarantee a Karen would have dobbed them in because it looks like a rural space. And I have so many friends out on farms and stuff that are
they doing drone flights though to check new dwellings on properties is what I've heard.
Okay,
so
could be. But honestly, most things, if you get busted by a council, I just got a fine because I got an old car I'm trying to get rid of. Yeah. And it's unregistered. And the battery's dead and it's just on the road out there. Yeah. And a bloke comes down. I'm in the middle of bloody bum F suburbia in Newcastle. Bloke comes down every year, once or twice a year or so, and busts people for parking up on the footpath.
Oh, not you do all the time.
Up on the median sort of strip. Because you want to be considerate to the, I don't know, garbage trucks that have to come down this narrow street.
Okay.
Anyway, he'll book people for that and busted me for my lack of registered on a car I'm trying to shift. So, I wouldn't be surprised if a Karen's looked out the window and gone, hang on. I'll run those plates.
Well, yeah.
They're unregistered.
Or with these guys, what's that tiny house doing there? It's really inconveniencing me. It's not.
Yeah.
Let the guys live.
Anything else?
The New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service has proposed a standardised fee system for national park campgrounds that will increase prices in some popular areas. The agency says the aim is to combat a rise in ghost camping.
So they're charging for campsites now.
Apparently, they're charging more for the popular ones. It's increasing as much as 600% in some areas. I think I can't see it in front of me now, but I think it was up to $56 a night, which is ridiculous, right?
What's the excuse that they're giving?
They need to fund money essentially for maintenance of the national parks.
Yeah.
You look like walking tracks. Not easy. It takes a lot of people to do them in remote locations. Like, it does take a fair bit, but it is the one thing I think that should be subsidized a lot more. Like,
well, it should always, like, if it's between even $30, $50 is way too much. What is this, a caravan park?
Yeah.
Like, it's a patch of grass on public land.
Caravan parks are getting up to like $80-$90 a night.
It's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was looking at a swag just in a caravan park over the holiday break.
Yep.
I'm like, I'll just sleep on the street.
Yes.
Like, come get me for $80, man.
Yeah.
That's like a 3-course dinner the next day. Like, I'll sleep in a park and just run away in the morning. They bring up, we need to raise money for this. And this is the scope creep of fees and burden on we Aussie taxpayers.
Yeah.
And whether you camp or you don't, I'm very believe in the school of thought that it should always be free.
Yes.
Like Scotland has right to roam. You can literally walk across any produce property, stay there for one night. You can all public land is free to camp on.
Really?
Like, it's wide open.
Okay.
And I'm very much of the school of thought where it should be if it's public land, it should be accessible to everyone, even the people with zero money.
Yes.
So and so once again, if we're going to say, well, Conrad, it's got to be funded by something, nothing's free. Yeah. You know where I'm going to say we're going to get the money from?
I reckon I have 2 ideas. Number 1, stop subsidizing the fossil fuel industry.
Hey, take that $14 billion.
Start charging them.
Do you know how many parks we can get for $14 billion?
Oh, that's a lot of parks.
So yeah, this one kind of got me. I think, I'm not. It's
just the one thing, especially like cost of living and everyone talking about it. Camping should be the one thing that should always be accessible to everyone. Like, understand if you can't afford a hotel, you can't afford a holiday with the family, whatever. Camping should always be that thing that's like, let's get back out into nature. Yeah. Let's go set up a $100 tent from Aldi and have a good night out with a campfire.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate it. Last one I've got here. This hits close to home. Flooding. Mm-hmm. It's the top. It's all we're seeing. Yep. New South Wales, mid-north coast. Taree, Kempsey,
smashed.
Port Macquarie, absolutely smashed. Hit really, really hard. Got some family up there who are a little bit affected by it as well.
Yeah.
It's all I'm seeing in the news.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a cleanup costs comes with this, both at the individual level, but then also, I'm assuming council, state, federal comes in if it's really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking of the floods that were back up in the Northern Rivers area. Massive federal funding went into that.
Yeah.
Homes rebuild, moving people, everything
emergency
like that.
Services.
Yep.
I think some people died.
Yeah, there's a couple of deaths in this one on the mid-north coast
and
at the moment. Yeah.
Property smashed, which I want to link in a Victorian news story that you may or may not have seen since we're in New South Wales.
Okay.
Victoria's trying to introduce a higher fee or a land tax for rural areas to fund emergency services.
Right.
Yeah. Because obviously...
As in, if you own a lot of land, you have to pay a levy for emergency services. Like, a fire comes along, they're working on your land to... Okay.
I guess, yeah. And so I think, without going too deeply into the weeds on that, when these stories dominate the news headlines, which I think, as they should, it impacts a lot of people and serious, dangerous sort of stuff. But the thing that kind of gets missed again comes back to the camping thing, where we're going to get money to fund just national parks and basic, lifestyle for Aussies, which we love the outdoors. Yeah. Who's going to fund, like, insurances are going to go through the roof, generally for people.
Lots of these houses can't get insured because it's like $50,000 a year to insure your house.
And who lives in the houses that aren't insured? Generally people who
don't have the means to move anywhere else.
Don't have the money. So it's poor people that stiffed with this.
Yep.
And obviously costs and I was looking it up before, like floods and danger events. I know it's contentious because of climate change and there are deniers and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But the rate is increasing. That's just measurable. It is, we are getting them more and more. Yep. You can deny or not. At the end of the day, we know, there will be a bill to foot whether you believe in this stuff is happening because of climate change or not.
Yep.
So the question is, who should pay?
Yeah.
And that's never in the story because it's always we, the taxpayer, that pays. And so then we link back to everywhere where I always link back to why we're having such hard conversations about how to afford to fund these emergency services is because the bludgers are siphoning the cash out of the country.
Yeah.
So I think good, fair enough on the news front there, Punter James.
Yeah, it's everywhere at the moment. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah. I brought my own news stories today.
Really?
Yes, I did. I thought Punter James is going to scour the mainstream corporate media, sometimes the fossil media. Qantas busted for lying in court. Do you know what it's called? Now we play the points game for James. How many points can James get? What's lying in court called? Have you watched any legal dramas?
Oh, perjury?
Correcting.
Yes,
1 point
excellent.
to you. Now, some context before we get to this part.
Okay.
Government, you remember COVID rolled along?
Sure, I remember it.
Destroyed a lot of businesses.
Yes.
Qantas was one of the crybaby corporate welfare queens.
Yep.
We can't afford to pay our workers.
I reckon I can answer this question before you've asked it.
How much did they get from the government?
I don't know. In the matter of billions.
2.7 bill.
Yep, there you go.
2.7 bill bailout. That's not pocket change, Brother James.
That's not pocket change, especially going back 4 episodes when Chris Bowen was bragging about increasing the fossil fuel subsidy.
PRRT.
The PRRT by 2.4 billion.
Yeah, he said...
I'm like, it's not nothing.
We gave it to Qantas!
Yeah, exactly. The 2.7 has gone 2.4 straight into 2.7.
Oh, that's a good comparison. Well, hey, bonus point to you. That's you're on 2 points.
I'll take it.
Qantas then illegally sacked 2,000 ground staff.
Yeah, I remember that.
To stop them taking industrial action.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought they brought in contractors to help out or something. It's like they got rid of their own staff, brought in a third-party contractor.
Yeah, so everyone's like, red flags.
Yes.
What the hell's going on here? Then Qantas, because court proceedings are slow, so we're seeing this payout 4 years later.
Yeah.
But then Qantas records a $2.47 billion profit. Now, some quick maths on that. They were given by the taxpayer.
What was it? 2.7.
$2.7 billion.
Right.
And then Qantas posted a profit of $2.47 billion in profit. So
now I'm not a maths guy, but
it looks as if a lot of those billions in profit came wholly from the taxpayer.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you, Punter James, but if the government bails your ass out for being a shit business because we need planes, which once again, the planes will still be there even if you go bust Qantas, we can just have the government purchase half that airline and keep the planes going.
Right.
And the pilots don't even have to lose their job. The paycheck comes from a slightly different entity behind the whatever.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
So anyway, this ended up in court to the news story today, which is Qantas executives lie to the federal court when they decided to sack workers. And so the judge says you can't run false cases. Now, when you commit perjury, what do you think the average jail time or the penalty is for lying to a judge in court?
Okay, if you're a CEO or an
just a regular
of a company,
punt, just anybody.
A regular punt?
Yeah, what do you think happens to you?
I don't know, let's say a year for a regular punt. For a CEO?
Up to 10 years in jail for a regular punt if you're caught lying in court.
Okay, I'd say for a CEO of Qantas, nothing.
Sweet FA, Punter James. I'm pretty sure it wasn't even like the judge just said you can't do that.
Yes. Please tell the truth, sir, is what the judge said. Or we won't give you more billions.
We have found you have deliberately misled the court, and I think it was to do with the dates in which when they fired the workers, so they fudged some numbers or whatever, and you know what they were, it was a mistake, oops-a-daisy, well, you're incompetent, get punished for that, because that's a crime too. Manslaughter is the incompetent murder. It's like an accidental murder, it's still murder. Qantas now, through these court proceedings, now here's some more numbers for you, their punishment is going to be like, it's apparently, and this is what the news is going to say to you.
Yep.
Record fine for Qantas.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen that amount on the news. Yeah, and I'm like,
between 100 million and 200 million. Oh my gosh, it sounds so much. Remember, punters, how much we gave them?
That it's what, like 3% of their...
in post, if this ends up on a clip on Instagram, here's the graph.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's how much we gave them for COVID. Here's the fine we gave them for lying, misleading, and stiffing 2,000 Aussie workers.
Yep.
Not great.
So, yeah, that fine is only a couple of % of the money that they actually got given by the government in the first place.
Joke. 5% or something like that. It's an absolute joke. Next news story on similar lines. I made an Instagram reel about it on Instagram. You check that out.
Nah.
Japan just made 1 billion or thereabouts roughly in profit from selling our gas to Asia.
So they get our gas for free.
Yeah. So they pay no royalties. And when we say this, we're talking specifically about company. Which is the company?
Impex for Japan.
Ooh, are you on 3 points? I think you're
Impex for Japan.
Yeah, Impex, yeah. That's roughly one of the...
Taken offshore, so we get nothing for it.
Yeah.
They take it overseas.
They made 21 billion. How much tax do you think they paid?
0.
5 points.
This game's really easy. You just say billions and zero.
It's true. It's very true. You get in the hang of the things that we talk about all the time, which is weirdly what the corporate media never touch on. Japan is reselling large volumes of Australian LNG to Asian countries, and the large quantities.
Yeah.
The quantities that they on-sold to make profit on is larger than the gas usage of East Coast Australia.
Wow.
So when we're having a cry about not having enough gas, just know that Japan is selling that amount of gas on because they got such a sweet deal on it. They can be a middleman and still clean massive profits selling it to Korea. How good for them.
Really, they're fantastic.
And here's the kicker. Inpex is like 20-ish roughly % owned by the Japanese government. So the Japanese government has a bigger direct stake in our gas than we do. So
$1 billion, I always need to remind myself, $1 billion is 1,000 million.
It's many billion, millions.
Well, it's 1,000 of them. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's not a small amount of money.
To anchor these numbers, I always just bring it back to how great would it be to have free dental?
Yep.
7 or 8 billion a year.
For everyone in Australia.
Everyone in Australia have free dental.
Yeah.
We're halfway there just with this Qantas scam and the impacts on just what they made from that small portion of the gas.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And then another headline I was looking at, the UN, and this brings me to the wrap up of our news segment where we just play catch up for punters who CBF following the news. Fair enough. I don't want to do it either.
Fair.
But there's some important things that we want to stay abreast of.
Okay, so last one.
Last one. UN experts condemn Australia's youth justice system over the new laws giving adult sentences, saying incompatible with human rights.
Right.
Now, this brings me to roll the jingle. Politician lines it up and, well, hang on. There's a question from left field and, oh my God, I don't believe it. What a maneuver. That has got to be political play of the day. So here is the political maneuver that Queensland Premier David Crucifoli is pulling. It's not a funny one. It's just a well-played game. I've got to pay props to it.
Here's my message to the United Nations. You don't control me and I don't answer to you. I say to the United Nations, we make laws to deal with one of the biggest issues this state has ever faced. And it's a generation of repeat hardcore young offenders who were created by weaker laws. So I say to the United Nations, you focus on the things you control and I'll look after the things that I control. And I'm accountable to Queenslanders, not to the United Nations.
I'm calling this the defiant toddler. You're not my mum. You don't tell me what to do.
I haven't looked into this at all, but I'm actually okay with it in the sense that he is an elected official by Queenslanders.
Plays well. It's good play.
He should be
accountable to Queenslanders.
I know nothing. I don't know too much about the UN apart from that. Human rights is where it actually comes. Like, obviously, I don't know much about it.
Once again, I've got to pay props. I've got to give full points to Crucifoli here. It plays to our Australia. Don't tell me what to do, even though we Karens love to tell everyone what to do.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why it's such a great play, the defiant toddler. I will just say it is accusations of heavy-handed abuses of human rights. If experts are looking, and once again, we're not going into the weeds here. I'm just saying, if experts are saying, oi, prob's not great for human right records. And once again, I would want to look into the data to see if these laws, like Crucifoli so defiantly says, does it actually improve the situation? Or does it create a class of people and just lock them up and create institutions? It's a whole thing. I'm just saying, probably shouldn't be dismissed. If you're being defiant about, I don't care, or abusing human rights,
don't tell me what to do, UN.
I'm just like, maybe this, I just have pause on a whole lot of that stuff. Okay. But we're not going into it now.
So you're pretty much just saying you appreciate the political maneuver without knowing any context.
I'm like, I know there's a lot of context in it. We're ignoring that and I'm giving full props.
Well played.
Well played.
PM Punter.
Just Punters fine.
Sure. It seems that everyone is freaking out about superannuation tax changes. I think we just touched on it last week. Can you break it down for us? Do we need to be worried about it?
Excellent question. You've come to the right place.
Really? You're a superannuation tax guy?
No, sir. But I've done a lot of Googling.
Well, fair enough.
Because I've also seen the collective hysteria pumped out amongst the media this week on this story.
Okay.
Well, let's begin with super and try and build some context around super so we can work out whether we should worry. Now, one thing I discovered whilst making a YouTube video last week about super, unrelated to this.
Okay.
It's a controversial topic.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So just super in general.
I did see the story you put up. You made a YouTube vid and people were just going hard.
Yeah, like hating on it. My worst performing video ever, which is fine because we the punters over on Patreon actually fund me, not YouTube
when anyone
algorithms.
says, it's fine.
it's not mine.
He's hurt.
It didn't go unnoticed.
He was crying when I walked in today.
Didn't go unnoticed.
Right.
And I just discovered that super, like some issues, climate change, nuclear energy, I didn't realize it was such a culture war sort of divide.
Yeah.
Like with a lot of Aussies absolutely bloody loving it, which got me a bit confused because superannuation, from my digging I've been doing in the last month or so, it's privatised pension.
Yes.
It's the government taking a public service, which was the pension, and going, oh, we don't want to pay for this anymore. Let's make punters pay private corporations to provide themselves with their own retirement.
Okay.
And in the YouTube video, I was just pointing out, hey, that's way more expensive. Like
than the government just doing it.
Like way more expensive.
Yeah, right.
But people didn't like me pointing that out. So as we go into this, I'm hyper aware of the controversial nature of what I didn't realize was boring tax policy.
Yeah. Right.
And I think it's because of the hysteria that you're seeing this week. It plays well to people's fear and anxiety over retirement. Will I have enough? Will I be in poverty? And these are very fair fears that people have. What's going to happen in the future?
Yeah.
So let's start with superannuation and a very brief history. Ready? Introduced by Labor in 1992. That's the history that I've got here.
That's it.
I'm sure there's
so
more.
like you said, it's the privatised pension system.
It's what I call it. People will fight me over that. I'm just going, government used to provide it. Now we have to pay fees.
Oh, so before 92, the government just did everyone's
Well, it was a pension.
And there wasn't super before that.
Exactly. We still have pension today.
Okay.
But then the argument was we can't, quote unquote, afford to keep paying people a pension. So I'm setting I want you to remember these starting points.
Yeah, okay.
Now, it was introduced, well, points to James. Why was it introduced?
Get them off the government one and get them into a private sort of system.
Which is why I say privatise. Get them off the government teat. So that was the purpose, to get people off the pension and help them save money.
Yep.
And that's the purpose I want you to keep remembering. Because we'll see as we go through the arguments, the purpose might shift and change for certain people making different arguments.
Okay.
So how it currently works as it stands, once again, not a super guy, not a financial guy, but your employer is forced by the government at gunpoint, quite literally, they have an army, to pay 12% of your salary into super.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So people think, it's bonus. No, it's your salary.
Yeah. And that depends, like that 12% moves around a fair bit as well.
I think it just went up. It was 11. Does it change? I didn't know.
Yeah, I think depending on who you're with, like I think some give up to 17.5. So it depends what sort of role you're in, I think.
Right. So government's forcing your employer to take money from you and lock it away in a lockbox where you're forced to pay fees to private corporations to manage that money so that you can get it when you're 60.
Yeah.
And in order to do that and incentivize it, they give it's not all bad news, they give some sweet tax breaks.
Right.
Money going into super, once again, it gets complex around specifics. Skip it, punters. Once again, fact checks welcome, citations necessary, but roughly 15%. So if you're earning money, if you're an everyday punter earning money, you're taxed at between 30 and 45%, right? Yep. Depending on your salary. If your money that goes into super, taxed around 15%.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
Sweet tax break.
Yep.
All right? Sounds really good. Now, here's the problem. It is pointed out by Puntamon Greg Jericho, who I was looking at, who wrote about this. Top 10% get most of the benefits of these tax breaks.
Right.
Now, to get really specific, we were speaking numbers before, 22 billion in tax breaks go to the top 10%. Now, I've got these really cool tools to help us visualize. If you earn 80 grand a year, you're earning about 45% of Aussies earn more than you. Then we can go up to 100 grand a year. That's a really good salary, even though you can't buy a house with it. About 33% of Aussies are earning more than you.
Okay. On 100 grand a year, 33% of Aussies are earning more than you. Yeah, okay.
Makes sense. And 62% of people, you're better off than 62% of Aussie punters.
Yeah, wow.
You're doing quite well on 100 grand a year. We're still not in the top 10%.
No.
So let's keep going. So you're earning 120 grand a year.
Yep.
Close to top 20%.
Okay.
Let's go to 150. At 150K salary a year, you are just scraping into the top 10% of income earners.
So this is where it starts making the biggest difference.
This is where, and so you are earning more than 88%, or almost 90% of Aussies earn less than you at 150K a year. Yeah, so you are a privileged punter. You're doing quite good for yourself. Good for you.
It's not me, mate.
I mean, just in general, to punters out there earning 150 grand a year.
Right.
So I'll say this off the bat. If you're earning 150 grand a year, super is fantastic for you. It's awesome. Yep. You get awesome tax breaks, and most of the 22 billion go towards people like you.
Yep.
If you're not in that section, this system isn't great for you.
Okay.
And when we're talking about these numbers of 22 billion, that's lost tax revenue. So once again, that's the money we're not getting because we're giving it to these rich
to the
punts.
top 10%.
Yeah. So we have to be like,
now, here's the thing. Yeah. Surely that top 10% provides things for other people. Like, surely businesses that these people own provide jobs. Surely houses that they own.
We can morally justify it however you want. The question just becomes, like, do they, don't they? You know, if for some reason giving away 22 billion gave us way more money, you could make an argument that that's a good spend of money.
Yeah, okay.
I'm yet to see that. Considering, let's go back to the original purpose of super. This is why it's contentious. Original purpose of super is to get people off the aged pension, off the government teat.
Yep.
These punters earning 150 grand a year are never going to be on the government teat. No. They already know how to buy EFTs. They already know how to invest in stocks. They already have assets and property portfolios.
Okay.
They don't want to live on the pension, which is 30 grand a year.
Doesn't sound like much.
No, okay, not much. So
what was 80 grand a year? Can you do 30 grand a year for that chart?
30. Okay, yeah, good. So if you're earning 30 grand a year, you are in the bottom 5% of Australians, and 93% of Aussies are earning more than you.
So we're giving $22 billion away to the top 10%, but people on the pension are literally earning the least amount of money in Australia you can earn.
They would almost get, if you're earning 30 or 40 grand a year, you almost get zero benefits from this system.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
And kind of what's worse is...
Yeah, because it's gone up to 39%. I think that 39,000 the tax rate or something like that. It used to be 18 grand back.
Yeah, they bumped it. And I'm okay with that. I think that's a good policy.
Yeah, you should bump it up to more than that.
Yeah, like I'm happy for that. And here's just, I'm trying to like reframe this conversation and trying to put it in a different light. Because if we give benefits in money, if I give 30 grand a year to an old punt who's worked his whole life, and he's just, I don't want him in poverty, so we taxpayers give him 30 grand a year.
Yep.
What, he's a drain on the government teat. What a waste of money. What a bludger. He should be self-funded.
That's the story. Yeah.
That's the story. But we're giving 10x more in tax breaks to the punter that earns 150 grand a year.
Yep.
To the top 10%. It's just in a different way. He's just not paying what he owes us, and we're actually giving money. And I think a solid argument is, like, it would be cheaper to just not give the 22 billion to the top punts and just say, if you want the 30 grand pension, we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper.
You can have it. Yeah.
So that's where the problems come in with this system. It's being said to increase inequality. So the tax concessions, the money lost to the government is close to $60 billion in total.
60 billion.
So 22 billion of that is going to the top punts. But the whole tax subsidy, and Puntamon Greg Jericho has put it next to other government line items to help us understand the cost of this.
Right.
Because everyone whinges about the
NDIS.
The NDIS and how expensive it is. You can see this orange part here. That's the top 10%. The whole super concessions thing, the tax lost to the everyday taxpayer by giving people tax breaks to put their money in a hole, a privatized hole, is more than the NDIS.
Yeah.
But I've never heard that ever mentioned in the corporate media. This context doesn't. Public schools, 11 billion. What a bargain. What an absolute bargain.
Not bad at all.
Childcare, 14 billion. Bargain. Job seeker. These aren't bludgers. 16 billion for job seeker. That's a bargain to keep people out of poverty.
A lot of people going.
Kept a lot of people going. And then the age pension is 61 billion. So 55 billion, 61 billion. Super concessions is almost as much as the age pension.
Okay.
And once again, the catch is, at least, at conservative, 22 billion of this is being used on a group of people that will never end up on the age pension.
Use the pension, yeah, okay.
And if they did, it would be cheaper than what we're doing right now. So does that kind of give a bit of context about why Labor might be looking at this super thing?
Yeah, to get better value for money.
And it seems a little bit unfair.
Of course it does. It always seems unfair, doesn't it?
Well, when I'm not a rich punt, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's be specific. If you're a rich punt, this is great for you. Stop listening. Fight these changes.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you're an everyday punt,
the other 90%.
if you're an everyday punt, then yeah. So we always say, and this is the phrase I hear a lot: self-funded retiree. You're self-funded. You're so much better because you don't take government money.
Yep.
When they should probably be called tax break funded retirees.
Yeah, because they're making way more than the 30 grand that you would get being on the pension anyway.
Yeah. Poorest half of Australians, 80 grand and below, you get 13% of that 50 billion.
I don't get that.
These tax breaks cost us in lost tax revenue 55 billion.
Yep.
Only 13% of that 55 billion go to people earning 80 grand or less.
Right, okay. Yep. I'm with you.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. We're throwing a lot of numbers, but I think it's important to work out where we sit.
Yeah.
And then whether we think that sounds fair.
Well, no, that part doesn't sound fair at all.
Okay.
Because to me, it should be like the other way around. It should be 87% goes to the lowest 50%, not people earning under 80 grand, not only that much.
So in all this time, we've established that this system isn't great.
Yeah, we need to flip it on its head, really.
Well, these changes don't do that. Let's get to the changes now that we've kind of put in the context on this system and what Labor's trying to do.
Yeah. So this is Labor bringing in these changes?
Yeah.
Where's it up to at the moment? Is there like a bill on the floor? Or
Labor said they were going to pass it or tried to pass it before they got re-elected.
Right.
Now that the Greens are probably on board for this, Labor have said they're going to do it, and everyone's losing their damn minds.
Because
and we'll talk about who is losing their minds.
Because if Labor wants something to get through at the moment with their 90 seats or whatever
they can do whatever they want.
They can just pass it straight through.
Yeah. So here's the change. There is going to be a new tax on earnings of 15% over 3 million.
On income?
On earnings over 3 million.
Right.
So normally the tax rate's at 15%.
Yep.
It's going to go up on money over 3 million. So they still get the tax break, super for everything less than 3 million. Everything over is going to be 15% more. So at 30%, which once again, if you're earning 150 grand a year, 200 grand a year, your tax rate's what, 45%?
Yeah, 49. Yeah, 45.
So you're still getting a tax break in super of 15%.
Okay.
You get slightly less of a tax loophole on your money over 3 million.
Yes. Okay.
So once again, when they say it's a super tax, it's slightly less of a benefit to 0.5% of Australians.
Slightly less of a benefit. Yeah, that's right.
0.5% of Australians, which is 80,000 people.
Which are probably the top
rich punts. Well, they are the rich punts.
1%. Yeah, that's right.
So it's expected to raise, now we're talking numbers again, $2.7 billion in the first year.
Right.
About as much as we gave Qantas.
Seems like we're just trying to claw back that Qantas money.
Yeah, it's really, how can we fund this Qantas cash? And then $7 billion the next year. This is what they're guessing. You never know.
Okay.
And then $40 billion years after that. So it could raise a F ton of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's dental and Medicare money.
Yeah.
And then a lot more. 40 billion is not nothing. And it's not coming from you, Punter James. It's not coming from me. It's coming from the rich punts.
If someone's
once again,
got
good for you.
$3 million portfolio of any kind, tax them a little bit more. Or just don't give as many benefits as what they've already got. I'm okay with both of those things.
Well, given my income, I'm also okay. I'm also okay. The arguments against is obviously the Liberal Party hate it Guess what? Superannuation funds hate it, obviously. This is their core bread and butter business. Murdoch and Murdoch minions hate this.
Well, old Rich.
I
don't know about the minions, but
if you're seeing trends, Punter James, I mean, I don't know. Big business, rich punts, I'll name a few. Andrew Pridham, which is Sydney Swans chairman. Jerry Harvey, rich punt. Rob Scott.
Harvey Norman.
Jerry Harvey of Harvey Norman. Harvey Norman doesn't like these changes. Rob Scott from West Farmers CEO.
That's Coles.
I think so. David Hancock, Afterpay investor and Labor donor. And then some RBA treasurers.
He's a Labor donor. Maybe we check in if David Hancock is still giving money to the Labor Party after they made these changes.
Might lose a few thousand.
Yeah.
And get this, Punter James.
Yeah.
A few of the Teal independents, Monique Ryan and Zali Steggall, also do not like these changes.
Really? What's their pushback about it?
Well, think about the suburbs they live in, Punter James.
Sure, I understand that they would have... Well, not currently, but, well, don't get me wrong, they're still on a decent salary now, but they have been in jobs in the past that they would be very...
Well, they represent suburbs.
Could potentially be wealthy. Okay, yes. Maybe I'm looking at it in an individual level, and maybe that's not fair.
Well, yes, politicians would be hit by this.
But again... If they're, I know they've got people in their suburbs that aren't, or their electorates, maybe we should say, that aren't very wealthy, but some of those suburbs would have a big influence on potentially how they do politics.
To be honest, you should represent who voted for you. So,
yes.
I understand the differences of opinion there. Let's go through the arguments against this. Punter James, 2 points, which I think are fair and valid.
Okay.
Not indexed. Meaning over time, as inflation grows, 3 million means less and less.
Okay.
So it'll hit people who are not just in the top, but some in the just not top.
Yep.
Puntermon Greg Jericho points out that even if his kids leave school, don't go to uni, earn $100,000 a year for the rest of his life, they still won't be in the $3 million category. Because the argument the rich punts make is, it'll hit your kids will pay it. Overwhelming the most still won't hit it.
Okay.
Indexation does seem to make some sort of sense. How about you make it 2 million and index it? I don't know, like lower it and then index it.
Yep, fair enough.
Whatever it is. So
fair point.
That's a fair point. And then the other argument she's making is quote unquote taxing unrealized gains. Now we get into a big snooze fest of all this sort of stuff. Basically, if you have money in your shares, and the government wants to tax the value of that, the problem is you haven't sold them yet. So you haven't made the money, it's paper gains. And that's what they were saying. And rich people love paper gains.
Yeah, I bet.
So this is a controversial thing. Maybe we'll do a future podcast episode on it. I'm on the fence. I'm open to this unrealized gain situation because I'm very aware that wealth inequality in Australia is out of hand.
Yeah.
And rich punts, it's a 2-tier tax system in my brutal summation of it. If you're a rich punt, you have assets because you don't need to use your cash to buy food and money. You can sit it in an offshore account somewhere or in a house or in a whatever, and you can get mad dividends from that. Yeah, you pay tax on the dividends, but as your wealth accumulates, you get wealthier and wealthier, then you pass it on to your kids and you never get taxed on those gains. But you can go to the bank at any time and say, look, my house is worth this much, give me money. And it's called buy, borrow, die. You buy the assets, you borrow money against those assets, you never pay tax because you're in debt, then you pass your inheritance and you're still wealthy. Rich people hate this idea of unrealized gains. I understand there are arguments. I'm not going to go into them, pros and cons, but that's one of the arguments about this super changes. There's going to be some sort of taxation that occurs on the value of the assets above $3 million, even if they haven't sold them. So that's an argument against it, which I think is worth debate, and I'm not going into it now.
Yep.
Because some farmers have put their farms into superannuation to get taxed at 15% instead of 35%, which once again, Punter James, will bring you back to the top. What's the point of superannuation? Is it a tax hedge? Is it a tax loophole to put your farm in?
No, it's just your savings account for the future.
It's a tax incentivized saving account to get you off the pension.
Yes.
So no sympathy for the farmers, unfortunately. I'm like, this is not what it's meant to be for.
Oh, can't wait to read the comments about that.
Yeah, I know. It's like cool, good for you for using whatever you can if it's allowed.
And it's not just the farmers, it's anyone doing that,
anyone,
right?
If you're using super as a vehicle to pass on your inheritance, that's the other thing. What about my inheritance? It's not for that. We're not here to give you tax breaks to then accumulate money to then hand on to your kids. So it depends what you think the purpose of super is. Yes. Is it for inheritance for you? Because if it is, these are, you hate these changes. And then one of the other really weak ones is that, it's going to stop I saw a bloke make it on Q&A.
Okay.
It's going to stop investment in entrepreneurs and small businesses. What? Because people in their super are sitting there going, I can't wait to invest in a risky entrepreneurial business that may or may not get me a return.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's doing that.
Once again, that's not how most people use super.
No.
And so they try and do these vague, scary, corporate sounding, because to be honest, a lot of this is above my pay grade. Like we need Puntermon to help us kind of navigate it, but this is my best summation of what's going on here. And what I notice a lot is it just turns into a big fear campaign.
Lots of different things there, way out of my depth. But I guess the basic question, is it a good policy?
I would argue it's tiny little baby steps in the right direction.
Right direction from the new Labor government.
I think like at the end of the day, if you're getting slightly less of a tax break, good, it raises money, good, from the right people, good. We just spoke about all the money. Once again, we need money for floods. We need money for free campgrounds. We need money for things.
Yep.
I really do think it's a zero-sum game. And if the rich punts don't step up and cop a few hits to their tax breaks that they're currently getting sweet deals on, we punts pick up the bag because it's easier to tax us. We don't own media outlets. We don't news outlets. We don't have
There's
that.
There's no pushback.
Yeah. Camp fees will go up. Bang. That's what'll happen. Ultimately, it doesn't fix the underlying unfairness of the whole system. I still have big critiques for the whole system, but I'll take it. If it's a good policy of them, it's not great. I'll take it.
But it's better than what is existing at the moment.
Yeah.
Should punts be worried?
Well, Punter James, every punter is different.
Yep.
Do you have 3 million in your super account?
Not currently. I checked before.
Will your child likely have 3 million in super?
I don't know.
Statistically, probably not.
Probably not.
Your child might be a savant.
She's going to be a hard worker.
There you go. Well, that won't get her anywhere. Is she going to inherit anything? You don't have 3 million super. It's unlikely your child is likely to have 3 million super. But if you did, then I think you should be worried. If you don't, I think this whole episode and this whole thing has taken up brain space. How's that getting to the end of an hour here and saying, I do think this whole thing is taking up unnecessary brain space because, to be honest, everyday punters, if this passes, it's going to benefit you.
Okay, so now that we've just spoken about apparently nothing for 50 minutes, I'm not really worried.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yep.
What should I be worried about?
Well, what I like to do is let's deflect. Where everyone's wasting time talking about this, we just did it. I would say things to point out that isn't mentioned in any of the coverage. Our age pension is second lowest in the OECD.
As in the amount that people get, that 30 grand a year we spoke about, it's really low.
Yeah. 23% of retirees live in poverty.
Oh, wow, that's no good.
It's a high percentage of retirees in poverty.
Yeah.
That sounds bad. It would be cheaper for us to fix... This is the thing. It would be cheaper for us to fix that right now than it would be giving these tax breaks to the top 10%.
The 55 bill or whatever.
When why do we listen to the Punters Politics podcast? Because I think we're trying to redirect. A lot of corporate media will point out what the billionaires want us to talk about and focus on. Yep. And I'm doing my best to jujitsu it into how about poor old people that's actually way cheaper to fix.
Yes.
Right? Which everyone can get on board with. Yeah. Old people in poverty, bad thing. We can fix that. And it's not expensive.
Right.
So hopefully that was helpful, Punter James.
Sure.
Sorry about all the numbers and the superannuation, but it's not my fault. Recap for the punts who are tuning in and listening. If you're new, welcome. We have a new quest. Not a side quest, a main quest.
A main quest.
Labor have all the power right now. 90-something bloody seats. They can do whatever the F they want.
Yeah.
I want them to do what we want.
Which means we need
a punters lobbyist.
That's right.
Excellent. Okay.
Now, they're going to cost some money.
So we need to raise money.
Through a fundraising dinner.
I believe it's almost turning into a gala in my head.
A gala? What's the difference between a dinner and a gala?
Dunno.
Oh, right.
One sounds fancier. Yeah. I'm thinking suit and tie. Now, I want to get off the top of the bat. We need a lobbyist. We're recruiting now, even though we don't have money.
Yep.
I hope you're flexible with your salary. But we do want to pay you. I want this to be a legit job. Like, okay. I'll work out how to
set it all up
and be like, here is the money for you to do this job. Okay. And I would like a lobbyist that preferably is an ex-fossil fuel lobbyist, an ex-tobacco lobbyist, even an ex-property lobbyist. I'll take any lobbyist who feels after a lifetime of sin they need to atone for themselves.
Experience required.
Like, I would love that. So if you know of a fossil fuel lobbyist currently in the game looking for an exit and with a bit of cash on the way out, Obviously not much. We can't compete with whatever you're paying, but we can pay you in moral fortitude and feel good sleep nights.
Yeah, would 6 months of Punters politics lobbying forgive your lifetime of sins?
I can't speak for God himself, but I think I'll put in a good word.
There you go.
So applications open, oipunter@punterspolitics.com. Send them through. Anyone you know, pass it along. Applications are now open. Now, the headway that I've made. We do have a specific date in mind. Either the 18th of October, the 25th, or the 1st. This is a sitting week, so some of which in school holidays.
The 1st of November or the 1st of October?
1st of November.
Okay.
So end of October, spoke to 3 venues.
Right.
2 are pending quote. So the venues that we spoke to.
Now, I remember you went to Aria, right?
We went to Aria, which is where Albanese had a very swanky opera house dinner overlooking the opera house.
Right. Now, my mum listens to the podcast. She's one of the biggest fans of the podcast. I'll tell you that much.
Hi, Mum.
We spoke about Aria. She messages on Wednesday afternoon after it's come out and she goes, "You do know Aria is owned by celebrity chef Matt Moran."
I did not know that.
No, I didn't. But
Can we put in a good word?
It's like one of the best restaurants in Sydney.
Does celebrity chef Matt Moran follow me on Instagram?
Oh, no chance.
I don't want to flex, but a few celebs do follow the Punters Politics Insta.
Wow. Now,
which
I remember
last
time you were bragging to me about Osher Gunsberg tuning in to your live election night stream.
Didn't tune in, mate. He was featured. We could get him to host.
Yeah, there you go.
Celebrity host.
Now, tell me these other celebrity people.
Oh, I don't know. There's a few. I wouldn't want to name names.
Yeah, well, don't say I don't want to brag, man.
But if this celebrity chef would like to help the punters out, maybe I'll put that on the to-do list. I'll hit him up.
Go for it. Hit him up.
Yep.
I don't like your chances.
Well, not with that attitude. No. Be positive. Be positive. You don't know.
It's going to be a fantastic gala. I mean,
he could be really anti giving away gas for free and want to really like hook us up.
He might be. Anyway, we're cooking with gas. Let's go.
Induction stove, I believe, is more efficient, but whatever.
So the 3 venues were?
3 venues. We're waiting on quote for 2. The Aria has a 90-seat capacity.
Ooh.
Quite an intimate dinner. We maybe want more for more punters and
just charge more access. For tickets.
We could. Canberra Stadium, 2 rooms, more options between like 200 and 300 seat venue with a stage. It could be like we could get bands. I don't know. I'm thinking big.
Yeah,
that's nice. Still waiting on a quote for that. The one quote we did get back was from the Crown Casino. Crown Casino minimum spend $50K. So that's our budget on our lobbyist. God. Which seats 320 people.
Okay.
At $110 a head for 3 courses.
Yep.
Slight discount on a Friday night instead of a Saturday night. 10 grand discount. Which is pretty good. I'll take that discount.
Right.
So that's a lot. They're the venues we're sort of looking at.
So we're looking at, if we're at a place like Crown Casino in Sydney, which could hold 300 people with food, we're looking at $50K.
Top end. Let's go. Let's try and get venue budget to 20 grand.
That's
$166 a head.
See,
which is a swanky dinner, but we're just still covering costs. This is bare minimum.
Yeah, that's
we haven't even got entertainment, Osher Ginsberg to host it, like impersonators. So yeah, that's quite pricey, and I would like to have different tiers. So all options are on the table. We'll talk funding strategy another time. Let's go to food, because I feel like this is where we could save some cash.
Save cash?
Yeah.
I would see, here's the thing, right? Going back to Aria, Matt Moran, at dinners like this, I'm assuming that the food is the thing that has to be the schmickest.
I think because it's a fundraising dinner, I've heard that the food sucks, but you're there to schmooze a poly.
Right.
So that's why you're there. You're not there for the food, mate. I mean, Matt Moran, no offense. Yeah. I would enjoy that food. But you're not there for the dinner. You're there because you're a politician that you want to schmooze and get to do what you want is there.
I get. So what's your tactic with food then to save some costs?
If we could get a venue that doesn't do catering, obviously Crown's like, you have to spend this much and we got the food and we got everything and that's how they make their sweet profit.
You want to bring in your own caterers.
What if we just got a whole bunch of fish and chips? Hear me out. Nothing more Australian than just a paper bag full of fish and chips. We could get a couple per table. Hey, a few scallops in there.
I do love a scallop. Chicken salt?
Yeah. Bloody oath. Mate, chicken salt on every table. You get your own chicken salt.
Well, don't start giving stuff away.
You're right. I'm getting out of myself. So this is a possibility. We could give the fish and chip shops a call and we'll just get every single fish and chip shop to go ham at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Chips delivered at 6, fresh and hot.
Yep.
Sauce, bang, chicken salt, boom. Still want a nice venue. That's surely got to save some coin.
Yeah, I think it would. Do you think the venue is going to let you get away with that?
That's the question.
Like, they have to make money too.
Yeah. Well, we're paying them for the venue. Unless a punter wants to donate a venue. So once again, this can only be done with the punters.
Yes.
We raised $90,000 for billboards across Australia.
That's very true.
Can we raise 50 grand for a lobbyist and cover costs of the dinner? So that's what I'll put out to the punters. Food suggestions, oipunter@punterspolitics.com.
Yep.
Venue suggestions and anyone with a hookup with anything, we're going to be writing punter connections. This is punter powered completely. And then it comes to guest list. Last thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Obviously, I think we should start at the top because we got to get an A-list of politicians there. This is what I am worried about.
Okay.
Will politicians want to associate with the punters? Or will they think this whole piss take? Because
they should want to.
They should want to.
Is
This whole
where we
thing's-
should begin. Yeah.
But we are taking the piss out of how they make money by
Yes,
getting
and-
rich people to buy them dinner. So why don't they let us buy them dinner?
Yeah. That's
You know
true.
what I mean? So I am concerned about getting politicians on board. So here's what I was thinking. Once we have the date locked in and a venue locked in, then we're rolling. Whether it's happening or not.
Whether they turn up or not.
Whether they turn up or not, it's
on.
happening and the money will go to a lobbyist. But the real sell is to sell our politicians to the punters so that they can pay a reasonable price, get access to the politicians. Obviously, we need the PM and the opposition leader there.
Obviously.
We need Albo and Susan Lee. Well, let's start at the top and work our way down. I think that's the strategy. So if they don't do it, we'll go deputies. If they don't want to come, we'll go just any MP. We'll take
Are
any.
you still in Jim Chalmers' pocket or not?
I mean, he seemed like a nice guy. He likes me. I'll ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask.
Be great to get.
I have some connections with some politicians, so I'll leverage them. And then if they don't come, then I guess we'll look at like young Liberals and young Labor.
Great.
Great.
I think we need.
Let's do the bottom of it. And then, but we will get impersonators to come and give a
Yes.
speech on behalf of the main event. So if Albo and Susan Lay don't come,
Yeah, that's the risk for them.
yes, call will go out to an impersonator of each major. Actually, I reckon, I feel like I'm feeling good odds with, who's the new leader of the Greens?
Larissa Waters.
I feel like we get good odds with Larissa Waters.
Sure.
I don't know. We'll try. But we'll try and get a leader from everyone. Maybe Pauline Hanson. Does she want to come? She's like, fish and chip shop. Still early days. Irons in the fire. We need more suggestions on venues we can do.
Yep.
And any food suggestions, punterspolitics.com. I'm excited. Punters,
Yeah.
the algorithm gods do not like sharing this content on their algorithms, but because of you sharing and liking everything we put out, punters actually see it. If you want to support what we're doing, you can join We the Punters over on Patreon, get some merch, punterspolitics.com.
And if you have any show ideas, send them through to oipunter@punterspolitics.com.
Power to the punters.
Power to the punts.